Hey everybody, it's Mike Young, lifestyle nutritionist with aPlantBasedDiet.org. Welcome to chapter 73 of my book, Live to 150. This one's on radon gas. And you may be wondering, why are you doing a chapter on radon gas, Mike? Because you already did a chapter on air quality. Well, this is a specific type of air quality issue, and I want to make sure to go into this in a little more detail because I know a lot about it. I know a lot about building science. Actually, I'm totally self-taught, but I know all about it. And I am also a licensed real estate agent, licensed realtor in a couple states. So I'm big into houses. And of course, this is an issue with most houses. You want to get tested for radon gas. So radon gas is a colorless, odorless gas, at least as far as we know. It builds up in interior spaces, not usually talking about your car or anything. I've never heard of that, but I guess it's possible. But usually on structures that are fixed to the ground, because what happens is radon gas is naturally emitting from the earth. It's always being off-gassed. Some areas have higher off-gassing from the earth into the atmosphere. Others have lower to sometimes none. But the problem occurs when it's trapped inside of a building. So if you think about it, the more often you're in a specific particular building with an issue with radon gas, and the more often you keep the windows closed and the tighter that building is with a lack of ventilation, the more likely you're going to breathe in more radon gas and basically get lung cancer and other cancers from exposure to radon gas. Now, there's a test, we can test that, but that's only a test at a moment in time. Pressures change with these buildings, with air going in and out of the buildings. Again, it's a building science thing. And you can get fans that will, when they're properly installed, they will basically vacuum the air out from under the house so that it won't get a chance to go from the earth into your living space. That's how these radon mitigation systems work for the most part. And of course, you have to have a monitor on that. You have to watch the negative pressure. You have to have a gauge on there. I've had all this stuff in my houses. But this was before I realized that this is a holistic approach. When you take a holistic approach to your health and you're looking at longevity and wellness and life extension and just being in a state of healing, of, I guess, what do I say? Not a state of healing, but just you're in that good balance point for the human body. Now, what you realize is that we've created this problem because, like I said, the radon gas was always there. It will almost always be there. It becomes a problem when there's a sedentary lifestyle and a structure that will contain the gas. Because if you don't have a sedentary lifestyle and you are moving in and out of that house, and of course, it's going to require you to be in a climate that's conducive to doing that, you're going to have less problems. So this is more of a problem in the north in general, because generally those are the areas that have higher off-gassing than in the south. If you get deep in the south in Florida, you got sandy soils. They tend to give off less radon gas. Also, the weather tends to be really good there, especially in the winter. People want to get outside. Now, in the summer, it's a different story. It's so damn hot down there. Nobody wants to leave. You maybe have a problem down there in the summer with radon gas. But it's generally the times when the weather's bad, when you want to stay indoors, that's when you're going to get the absolute highest exposure. And we don't know what happens with radon gas in terms of how much exposure causes anything. All we know, and if you look online with the, I think it's the EPA here in the United States that regulates this kind of stuff, they say that they don't know of any healthy exposure level to radon gas. It's anytime you're in an enclosed area and it's contained and you're breathing it in, that's a problem. But they had to come up with a number. So I think it's like 4 paracuries per liter, 3 paracuries per liter. I can't remember what it was offhand. That's the method of measurement. If you are above that or at that, they're saying it's a problem. If you're below that, they're saying don't worry about it. But again, like a lot of these things, okay, this is an arbitrary cutoff point. It doesn't really mean anything. What you have to do is have a lifestyle where you're not going to be stuck doing this. And I've alluded to a lot of times, maybe the necessity for migration. If you are migrating to areas that have good weather during the times of the year that they do have good weather, and a lot of new lifestyles, such as being a digital nomad and just working remotely, they are allowing for that. You're going to have a lot less likely issues here with radon gas. It could also be in your office building. If you're going to an office building, a lot of people talk about sick building syndrome in commercial buildings. It could be happening there too. Not only radon gas, but other air quality issues that were talked about in the previous chapter lack of ventilation, those types of things, things not functioning because no one is checking to make sure these systems are working. Like I said, with radon gas, even if you have a mitigation system, you have to keep going back and monitoring that gauge to make sure that you have this negative pressure created. Because if it doesn't stay, and when the power goes out, your system doesn't function anymore. So just keep all this in mind. And actually, if the power goes out in the winter, you could be getting a massive dose of radon gas because you don't want to open the windows or go outside, and your fan has shut off, so it's just pouring into your house. But these are things to be aware of. You need to know all this. I think it's important. The knowledge is important. It's key. You need to be able to have all this knowledge so that you make effective decisions. I don't know what this means for you in your life, but I felt compelled to make this chapter here in the book because I feel like this is such a big issue. And I have a feeling it's bigger than we recognize, because a lot of times people get cancer, they're not going to say, oh, I got it from radon gas. In fact, have you ever heard anyone say they got cancer from radon gas? Ever? I have never heard of one single person. I've been alive for 52 years. But the government knows it's such a toxic gas when breathed in an enclosed area that they have already set this arbitrary limit on it. So think about that. Let that settle in for a little while. And if you want to have longevity, if you don't want to be sick, if you don't want to have chronic illnesses, so much of what could go wrong with you could be attributable to the radon gas, and we don't even know. Because like I said, I have never heard of anyone in my life that says that radon gas has done anything to them. Yet, like I said, it's so dangerous in people's minds, and it is, that because of our lifestyle, because of our unnatural lifestyle, that we're going to have every house tested pretty much in real estate when you're buying the house. Although the ridiculous seller's market that we just went through, which was the strongest in history, I think most houses were sold without radon tests. And I know the radon testers were probably losing all kinds of money, but that's coming back now. Definitely coming back. Also, make a decision on where you want to live. I mean, my wife Denise and I, we're building a house in Ecuador in an area in Southeast where it has moderate temperatures all year round. So we don't even have an enclosed structure or walls like they have in most places where the climate has at least some times of year where it's oppressive for one reason or another, whether it's heat or cold or some combination of that. So we don't have to have anything but screens on the outside walls, like a screen in porch. And that's obviously beneficial. We talk also in this book, I'm saying this to get you thinking that, maybe you need to migrate from time to time, different times of the year. Maybe if you want to stay in one place, maybe you stay there because you can grow your own food all year round, right? And if it's important to grow your own food and know where your food is coming from and to know how they're actually growing it and not just taking somebody's word for it, you have to do that. But you can see how all these things are interrelated and connected. And if you structure your life in a way that you are taking all of this into account, you are going to reap, I think, massive benefits. Because I think in this category specifically, and I'd love to see your comments. If you have comments on this, if you know someone that got sick from radon gas, please tell me. I want to hear it because it's very strange. Like I said, that some incredibly dangerous cancer-causing gas has never made anyone sick that I know of, yet we all know it's a carcinogen and it's in so many properties where you don't have systems to basically mitigate that gas. So I look forward to reading your comments. Take all this into consideration when you're thinking about how you want to live your life. This is a major consideration, even though you probably never, like when you're not done any goal setting or whatever, you probably never included radon gas in there. But now maybe you will because you watch this chapter. All right, so of course, like the video if you got some value out of it and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next chapter. Bye-bye.